Welcome to Son of a Glitch. Join us as we explore some of the internet's craziest glitch stories. Story 1. My grandparents are both gone now, but there's one story they told me that never left me. I've heard it enough times, with the same little details and the same unsettled tone in both of their voices, that I could basically recite it word for word. I grew up with this story treated not like a creepy thing that happened once, but like a real event that broke something in them a little bit. This would have been in the 1940s. My mom always said sometime after 1942, but not the late 40s. My grandfather had already finished school and was working as a chemist by then, so he wasn't a kid. He and my grandmother were already married. They weren't old, but they were settled adults. No drugs. Not drunk. Sane people. That's important. They were driving through rural Pennsylvania because my grandfather wanted to show her where he'd spent his summers growing up. He'd been a city kid, but every year his parents sent him out to his uncle's farm for the summer. He'd work, fish, run around with his cousins, pretend he was country. He loved it. But life happened, war happened, work happened, and he just hadn't been back to that part of the state in something like 25 years. So one weekend, he decides, let's go. He wants to surprise his cousins, introduce his wife, show her this little piece of his childhood. My grandmother said he got weirdly happy in the car as they got closer, pointing things out, narrating like a tour guide. Up ahead there's this little town before you turn off for the farm. It's got this diner with peach pie, and a hotel right at the corner, and an ice cream counter with stools that spin. He's painting it like it's still all there, like it's been sitting on pause since the last time he saw it. They're driving a narrow rural road, late afternoon, early evening, sunlight low. Trees, fence posts, the kind of hills that roll more than they climb. And then, just like he said it would, the town appears. Now this is where everything starts to go sideways. He slows down because he's excited. See? This is it. This is the town. I told you. My grandmother said she kind of laughed because it really did look like a postcard. Small storefronts lined up neat on the main street, those big painted signs. Windows lit from inside. There were people. She remembers that. People on the sidewalks. She remembered thinking how sweet and old-fashioned it looked. And then, as they're rolling through town, almost at the far end, they both notice the hotel. The hotel is on fire. Not burned. Burning. Active, present tense. The top floor especially. Smoke is pushing out in thick, fast waves, and you can see the orange inside the windows like an oven door cracked open. And there's this whole operation in the street, right in front of them, firefighters blocking the road. Only it's not like a 1940s fire truck. It's a wagon. Literally a wagon with a mounted tank and pump, drawn by horses. Horses. Men in suspenders and brimmed hats, like from a calendar. One guy's up on the wagon working a hose. Another's yelling and waving them to stop. Here's the first weird part. Neither of them, in that moment, thought this was supernatural. That always messes with people when they hear this story. Didn't you think it was weird? Didn't you say, hey, why are they using horses? And both my grandparents always said the same thing, no. In the moment, your brain just files it under small town, low budget. Maybe they're behind the times. You don't jump to time warp. You jump to, that's old-fashioned. They stop. They're sitting there in the car watching men fight a hotel fire in the middle of Main Street, using what looks like turn-of-the-century equipment. My grandmother said she could smell the smoke. She swore that forever. It wasn't just seeing it. She smelled burning wood, that sharp, biting, chemical edge of it. She said she tasted it. Eventually the wagon and crew shift just enough that my grandfather can drive past. It's still chaos behind them in the rear view. He's kind of rattled, but mostly he's like, wow, that was something. They keep going. They pull up to the farm. Now it's hugs, greetings, well, I'll be damned, that kind of thing. His uncles are older now. His cousins are grown. Everybody's talking at once. It's that moment where the years fall off and everyone's young again for a second. He's introducing my grandmother and telling stories like, remember when we used to steal apples and your dad would chase us? He's in this warm nostalgia fog. Then he brings up the fire. He says something like, we almost didn't make it through town. The old hotel by the corner is burning. Do you guys need help? Should we go down there? Do they need water buckets or something? The whole mood changes. He told it like someone hit pause on the room. His uncle just goes still. His cousins look at each other. His grandmother said you could feel it. This drop in the air pressure, like everyone suddenly understood something terrible, except you. Finally, one of the cousins says slowly, what hotel? Grandpa's like, the hotel on the corner, right before you get to the turnoff. With the porch in the balcony? The one that used to have the bar on the first floor where your dad wasn't supposed to go. He's laughing a little while he says it, like, come on, you know. And then they tell him, there is no town there anymore. Not like that. About 20-ish years ago, so in the window when he stopped visiting, that same hotel caught fire. It spread. Main Street went fast. A lot of the businesses never reopened. People moved away. The town basically died. The way they described it, there hadn't been an operating hotel there in decades. There weren't storefronts and lights and pie counters. There weren't even that many people left. And the old, horse-drawn fire wagon with a water tank? That wasn't small-town budget. That was period accurate to when the fire actually happened. My grandmother said that's when her stomach dropped. That's when the "this is a little odd" feeling turned into horror. Because up until then, both of them were just assuming they'd seen something current. Like right now. Real-time emergency. They'd literally just driven through it. Grandpa argued. He said, no, we were just there. We just saw it. We smelled the smoke. He's insisting. He's getting flushed, defensive. He tells everyone to get in the car. Come on. We'll go back. You'll see. We'll bring water. We'll help. So they pile back in the car, my grandparents and a couple cousins, I think, and drive the exact same route back. Nothing is there. Not the fire's out. Not the streets cleared. Nothing is there. Where they swear there'd been storefronts lit up with those warm window lights. Boarded or collapsed. Where there'd been glass windows reflecting sunset. Empty frames. Where there'd been people standing on sidewalks watching. Weeds. And where there'd been the hotel, alive and burning, smoke pumping, horses stamping. There's just this blackened husk. Charred remains. Dead. Old. Weathered. Something obviously burned there, yes. But not that night. Years ago. My grandmother said something I'll never forget. She said, the first time, when we drove through, it felt like we were being watched. The second time, it felt like we were trespassing. They never got over it. You could see it when they told it. They could not explain how both of them saw the same thing, smelled the same smoke, heard the same shouts, and then drove back 10, maybe 15 minutes later, and it was simply gone, replaced with ruin that had been ruined for decades. And that was always the ending. There's no twist. No secret newspaper clipping that says, surprise, actually there was a second fire that night. The only little epilogue is that much later someone did dig up an old article about a hotel fire in a small Pennsylvania town near Nazareth that basically killed the town. The timing matched what the cousins had said, which means my grandparents, in a normal car, on a normal road, on a normal evening, drove straight through a moment that should only have existed in the past. They always called it our glitch. Story 2. This happened when I was 24, and I still don't have language that makes it sound sane. I've never put it anywhere until now, because honestly, who's going to believe me? But I just found the space where people talk about stuff like glitches, missing time, weirdness in the desert, and I figured, okay. Here. At the time, I was working construction. Hard work, long hours, decent money if you kept your head down. We were out near Yuma, Arizona, on some kind of multifamily build, stucco, cheap rentals, cookie cutter, that kind of job. It was fall, which in Arizona is the nice season. Nights were cool, maybe 70 degrees Fahrenheit, no wind, that still warmth you only get in the desert after sunset. We wrapped late, just before dark. Me and my buddy, I'll call him Jay, decided not to drive straight back to Tucson yet. Instead, we took the pickup off the main dirt road up onto this little ridge overlooking a big open flat, desert floor stretching forever. You can see for miles out there. Nothing but low brush, pale sand, horizon. We killed the engine, sat on the hood, cracked a beer. Yeah, don't drink and drive, I know. We were just trying to take a minute before getting on the interstate and hauling 90 miles home in the dark. This was a ritual for us. Finish a job, watch the sun die, talk trash, decompress. The sky went that ridiculous Arizona color. You know the one if you've seen it, pink that bleeds into orange that bleeds into this almost bruised purple. The sun drops fast out there. 1 second it's all cinematic and religious. Next second you're in full night with stars like pinholes punched through black paper. That's when we saw it. At first it just looked like something reflective out on the flat. 2, maybe 4 miles out. Hard to tell distance in that terrain, because scale is weird in the dark. I remember squinting and thinking, is that a tanker truck out in the middle of nowhere? Because it wasn't shaped like a truck, though. It was upright. That was the first thing that hit me. Upright. Imagine a bullet. Now imagine the bullet is 40, 50 feet tall, standing on its tip on the desert ground, lit from inside. That's what it looked like. A smooth cylinder, tapering a bit at the top, this almost polished metal shine under a light that didn't look like headlights or floodlights or anything we know. It had this clean, white glow to it. Not bright like a spotlight stabbing your eyes. Bright like sterile. Precise. I didn't say anything right away, because I honestly could not figure out what words to use. I thought I was tired. I thought I was looking at heat distortion. Then Jay goes, "What the __ is that?" And my stomach just dropped because now I knew I wasn't imagining it. He was seeing it too. And then it changed. A spiral ramp came out of it. That's the only way I can describe it. 1 second this thing is just a standing cylinder. The next second, there's this spiral structure wrapping around it, like a staircase but without visible supports, just appearing, unrolling, curving down to the desert floor. It didn't lower like a ladder coming down. It bloomed. If that sounds artsy, sorry, that's how my brain recorded it. This ramp bloomed into place in a way that felt wrong for physics. And down that ramp came shapes. Little figures. Small compared to the object, at least. Not like tiny, but like humanish height. They were outlined, but not lit from the front. More like they were backlit by that white glow, so all we saw at that distance was dark forms moving in a line. One after another, slow, steady, so calm about it that the whole thing felt rehearsed. We were frozen. I remember my mouth was open, and I wasn't breathing. Jay wasn't talking anymore either. The whole thing lasted maybe 45 seconds, a minute tops. It felt longer, but when I replay it in my head, it was fast. Almost like we were only allowed to watch a clip, not the whole movie. And then, this is the part that still wakes me up sometimes. Every single one of the figures stopped at the exact same time. Not they noticed us and turned. Not they scattered. Just freeze. Like someone hit pause. And then they were gone. I don't mean they ran off into the dark or climbed back up or ducked behind something. I mean there was a blink between they are there and they are not there. Like a frame skipped. After that, the next memory I have is opening my eyes. It's morning. The sun is up. The light is that pale early light. My mouth tastes disgusting. That fuzzy dry taste like you slept with it open. My neck hurts. My back hurts. I'm sitting in the driver's seat of my own truck. Jay is asleep in the passenger seat, head tilted against the window like we crashed after a long drive. Only here's the problem. We are not in Yuma. We are basically in Tucson. I am parked a block from my driveway. Like I drove myself almost all the way home, parked, turned the truck off, and just blacked out. The dash clock says 6:30 something a.m. The last concrete moment I remember is sitting on the hood with Jay drinking a beer, the sun going down, looking at that thing in the desert maybe 4 miles out. Then 6:30 a.m. in Tucson. There's at least 8-9 hours missing. We did not talk for a while. I don't mean that morning. I mean ever. We sat there in silence for a long time. Finally I shook him awake and said, "Hey, we're home." He rubbed his face, swore a little, and the first thing out of his mouth, not "What time is it?" Not "Did we crash?" but "You saw that, right?" That was the confirmation. We both remembered the same thing. We both remembered the upright cylinder, the spiral ramp, the figures. We both remembered them freezing. We both remembered nothing after that. We checked the truck later. No dents, no missing gas, nothing weird like red dust, nothing Hollywood. My hands were a little dirty like I'd been handling something gritty, and I had this ache deep behind my eyes like a sinus headache, like I'd been on a plane for too long. Jay said his thumb hurt, like someone had taped something to it and ripped it off. That was it. No implants, no triangular rashes, nothing dramatic. We just lost a night. We never reported anything. Who would we report it to without sounding like drunk idiots? Hi, yes, hello. I'd like to file a police report because a space elevator showed up in the desert, and now my sense of linear time is damaged. Okay. We also didn't tell anyone else because we knew exactly what people would say. You were tired, you fell asleep, you dreamed it, you got drunk and forgot, you made it up. Except neither of us had ever blacked out like that in our lives. Neither of us had ever had a shared hallucination in perfect sync. Neither of us had ever teleported a truck 90 miles in the middle of the night and politely parked it in a residential area without remembering doing it. So we basically just agreed without agreeing to never bring it up. It's been years. I've had other weird things happen in my life, sure, but normal weird, bad relationships, lost jobs, bills, regular human horror. This is the one thing that sits outside all of that. This is the one thing that, when I let myself really think about it, makes me feel like there's a hand on the back of my neck. The only way I've ever been able to talk about it, even in my own head, is this. Something saw us. Something decided we were allowed to see it for about a minute. Then something decided we were done. And that's it. That's the part nobody likes. There's no hero moment. There's no. And then we escaped. We didn't escape. We got put back. Like tools. Story 3. This didn't happen to me years ago. This happened recently. As in last night recent. And I genuinely don't know what to do with it, so I'm writing it down exactly how it went, and you can call me insane if you want. But at least I'll have a record of what we saw while it's still fresh. I was outside with my neighbor. We're not like best friends or anything, but we talk. We end up in our little patch of shared outdoor space sometimes at night, because he smokes and I like to watch the sky. It was clear, no clouds, no haze, good viewing. We could see the Dipper perfectly. If you know the Big Dipper, we were looking basically near the handle, about the third star down. There was something moving across that area slowly, and we were like, oh look, satellite. That's how normal it was. That's how calm it started. Two people casually tracking what we both agreed was a satellite. Then reality hiccuped. And I don't have better language than that. The sky glitched. The best way I can explain it is, imagine you're playing a video game and a texture doesn't load right away, so you get that ugly placeholder pixel mess instead of the actual wall. Now take that feeling and paste it onto the night sky, right where we were both looking, not all over the sky, not horizon to horizon, just in this specific patch. Something went wrong. It looked like someone grabbed the stars and smeared them sideways with a thumb. Only not smooth. Blocky. Like the world turned into squares for 3 seconds. It wasn't lightning. It wasn't a cloud drifting by. It wasn't plain lights. It was structured. Pixelated is really the word. The stars bent, but they didn't bend like through atmosphere distortion, like heat shimmer. They bent like data corruption. There were faint vertical lines, and these weird, jittering stripes that reminded me of old CRT TV interference. The edges of the distortion were almost geometric, like a square pane in the sky had been knocked loose and was struggling to render. You know when oil hits water and you get that rainbow film moving across the surface? Imagine that, but monochrome and blocky, and instead of floating on water, it's floating on the night sky. I thought it was my eyes at first. I genuinely thought, okay, maybe I stared too hard at the satellite and now I've got retinal afterburn, or I blinked weird, or whatever. I literally rubbed my eyes, blinked, looked again. It was still there. Then my neighbor, and this is important because this is the thing that made it real and not my vision is going on strike. My neighbor says out loud in this really freaked out voice I've never heard from him before, "Dude, did you just see that?" He said it at the exact moment I was watching it. I cannot overstate what that did to my body. Every hair on my arm stood up. My heartbeat jumped into my throat, so fast I felt nauseous. My brain basically went from LOL weird eye floaters to, oh, we're not supposed to be seeing this. Because he saw it too. Same spot of sky. Same distortion. Same timing. That took it out of optical illusion territory and into shared external event. The distortion lasted maybe 2-3 seconds, and then it kind of collapsed. Folded in on itself? Imagine crumpling cellophane in your fist. That fast. 1 second, broken sky. Next second, regular clear night with normal stars like nothing happened, like we hallucinated in sync. Only we didn't. We just stood there for a while, not talking. You'd think we'd immediately scream and freak out and run inside, but we didn't. The reaction was more like getting caught doing something you shouldn't. Like someone lifted a curtain they didn't mean to lift, and then slammed it back down, and we were just frozen, pretending we hadn't seen behind it. Finally I said, okay, I'm not crazy, and he's like, no, that was wrong. So then the questions start. Are we in a simulation? Is the sky even there? Or is it like a dome projection and the rendering hiccuped for a second? Did we just see actual code? Did we just see whatever they used to paint the sky for us? Are we supposed to be able to see it at all? And of course your brain also tries to do the boring explanations, right? Plane lights, drone swarm, heat lightning, atmospheric refraction. I tried all of them. None of them fit what we saw. There was no light source. There was no sound, and you'd hear a plane that low. The shape of the distortion wasn't organic. It was squared off like a panel boundary. And the movement wasn't random. It wasn't drifting. It looked like a graphics card having a stroke. I barely slept after that. I went back inside and started looking up other people's stories, and I found way more than I expected. People talking about seeing grids in the sky, like the whole atmosphere was overlaid with faint lines. People talking about the pattern, like a repeating fractal texture behind reality. People talking about triangular tessellations filling the sky on clear days like a net. Some people say they only saw it on psychedelics. Which, okay, that makes sense chemically. But I wasn't on anything. I was stone sober. So was he. This wasn't the tail end of a mushroom trip. This was a Tuesday night. And here's the worst part, the part that actually keeps looping in my head. Right before it happened, I didn't notice this until later, the background sound cut out. We live in a place where there's always some noise. Bugs. Distant cars. Wind and leaves. HVAC hum. City far-off rumble. Always. The night is never actually silent if you pay attention. Story 4. Back in Jersey, before I moved, I bought this puzzle because I thought it would look pretty framed in my new apartment. That was the plan. I wasn't doing it for fun, okay? I am not a puzzle girl. I was doing it because everything in my life felt unstable, and I wanted to control at least one square, flat, 1,000-piece thing. It was this gorgeous Moody City scene. Dark colors, gradients, all these tiny sections that were basically the same shade, which is evil, but I was stubborn. I would sit on my bedroom floor for hours after work just sorting pieces into little piles and telling myself, see? You're handling this. You can handle moving. You can handle change. My back would actually start hurting. My eyes would go blurry. It became this whole little ritual. I'd put on a show, pick up a piece, try it, fail, try again, tell myself this is growth, this is focus, this is you building your future, blah, blah, blah. And finally, after days, I'm almost done. I can literally see the whole image. I'm excited in this stupid, dorky way. I'm like, wow, I'm gonna frame this, hang it in my cute New York apartment, and it'll be like, hi, welcome to my space, I build art with my mind. I was already planning the Instagram story. Then I hit the last gap. One piece missing. At first I just laughed, because of course I can finish 999 out of 1,000. Of course life won't let me have one clean, satisfying thing. So I start looking. Originally it's casual. I check the table. I pat down my lap. Nothing. Then it's not casual anymore. I'm on my knees, hair in my face, crawling around the carpet like some desperate raccoon. I am checking under furniture I have literally never cleaned under. I am shaking out blankets. I am checking the cuff of my hoodie and the stupid fold in my sock. I'm looking in the trash. Do you understand how feral I felt, digging through my own trash for a puzzle piece? It's gone. And it's not like it's some edge piece you could fake. It's dead center. You can see the missing spot immediately. It's just this tiny void in the middle of all this effort, and it makes the whole thing feel ruined. I go through all the stages. Annoyed. Irritated. Personally offended. I'm swearing at a cardboard jigsaw puzzle, like it insulted my bloodline. Then I get into the dramatic, philosophical stage. I'm like, okay, wait. Maybe this is a message. Maybe life is telling me, perfection is not the goal. You can still be proud without being complete. You can still be enough with a missing piece. And yes, I did in fact say that out loud to myself like I was narrating a self-help podcast. I'm not proud, but here we are. So I frame it anyway with the hole in it. I literally hang an unfinished thing and call it art. I even post it with a caption like, there's always room to grow sparkles, because I am cringe apparently. And I decide to carry that attitude with me into the move. Like, okay, you're not perfect. Your life's not finished. That's fine. You're still going. Then I move. I pack everything I own. I mean everything. I am touching every item, every drawer, every old sweatshirt, every dusty book from middle school for some reason. I am emptying my life into boxes. I am triple checking under my bed, because the last thing I want is to leave something gross for the next tenant. I do not find the missing piece. I load everything into a truck, drive states away, haul it all up disgusting city stairs, sweat through my shirt, and unpack in New York. Same deal. I touch everything again. Clothes, towels, dishes, cords, shoes. I am physically in contact with like 98% of my belongings at some point in this whole process. No peace. Weeks go by. I'm settling. I'm lonely sometimes, I won't lie, but I'm here, I'm doing it. The framed puzzle is leaning against the wall, waiting for me to actually hang it. I keep seeing that stupid little empty spot and going, yeah, that's my metaphor. That's me. Miss Unfinished. Then this happens. I leave my apartment. Totally normal. Trash run, I think. Or going to the store. Whatever. Nothing supernatural. I come back, I close the door, I toss my keys on the bed like I always do. A few minutes later I go to grab them again. There's something under them. I see it, and I feel this drop in my stomach. You know that cold falling feeling when you almost trip going downstairs? That. I pick up my keys and sitting right there on my blanket, on my bed, in my apartment in New York City, is the missing puzzle piece from New Jersey. The missing piece. The shape is exactly right. The colors line up in my head instantly because I stared at that gap for days. I know exactly where it fits, and my body just goes cold. I whisper, "Nope," out loud to nobody. I actually said that. Then I just sit down because it's like my knees forget how to function. Here's why I know this is not. Oh haha, it was just stuck in a pocket. I searched that room in Jersey like a crime scene. I packed every single thing I owned. I touched everything twice. I unpacked everything here. I've been living here. I've made my bed. I've dropped my keys on this exact bed so many times. Never saw it. Not once. Not even a corner of it. Now it's just sitting, perfectly placed, exactly where my hand would go. So either someone was physically in my apartment while I was gone and put it there, which is horrifying in a very normal way. Or, 2, reality just corrected itself around me. And I don't know which one scares me more. Because if it's option 1, okay, cool, I'm calling the police, we're moving, I'm never sleeping again, etc. But if it's option 2, if that piece fell through timelines and landed in this version of my life because this version of my life is ready for completion, if I hop tracks into the timeline where I never lost it, if something, someone, me but not me, sent it back, then that means I am not just living in my apartment in New York. That means I am living in a place where reality can edit itself mid-scene. Story 5. We were just walking. That's the part that keeps replaying in my head, because nothing about that afternoon was weird until it was. It wasn't nighttime. It wasn't foggy. There wasn't creepy music. It was just us in a big open field, sun out, grass up to my shins, my friend a few steps behind me filming, because we're moms now, and apparently we film everything our kids do in case it becomes core memory content later. There's a fence along the side of the property, just this low, basic fence. My daughter had already stepped past it. Like, this is important, she was already beyond the fence. She's out in the open, a few little yards of flat grass in front of her. No wire, no rope, no mud, nothing. And then she just stops. Not slows, not looks down, not crouches to pick a dandelion. She stops like she just walked face first into a sliding glass door she didn't know was there. 1 second she's toddling forward with that determined little baby march, arms out for balance, hair all static and the next she snaps still. Both arms go a little out like she's steadying herself against something. And she will not move. At first I laugh, because toddlers are dramatic. You know how they'll just halt for absolutely no reason and stare at a rock like it contains prophecy? That. I thought it was that. So I call to her. Baby, go on. Go on, sweetheart. Nothing. She's not scared, which throws me. She's not crying. She's not wobbling like she tripped. She's just frozen, like she's analyzing something I can't see. She leans the tiniest bit forward and lifts her hand like she's patting air. That's when this cold feeling hits my spine. Because I've seen her stop and get stubborn. I've seen her plank on the floor of Target because I wouldn't let her hold raw chicken. This wasn't that. This looked like she felt something. I walk up behind her and I'm about to scoop her, and she turns around fast and looks at me with these huge eyes and just shakes her head. Little serious shake like no. Not like, no I don't want to leave, no. Like, no don't come here. I swear to you, she looks scared for me. I laugh again, reflex, nerves, and I'm like, what are you doing? You're being silly. And I go to step around her so I can show her it's fine. I go to just walk forward into the space in front of her, like, see? Nothing there. And my body will not do it. I'm not kidding. I lift my foot and my whole stomach clenches like I'm about to step off a ledge. It's instinct animal panic. My brain is giving me all clear, like logically I can see flat ground, but my body's like absolutely not. My heart rate spikes like I'm in danger. It felt wrong in a way that doesn't make sense because visually there is nothing wrong. It's open field. It's literally grass. That's when my friend behind me goes, do you see that? And I snap around like, what? What? She zoomed in on her phone, filming, because again, she'd been recording this whole, I'll look nature walk thing, and on her screen you can see the kid with her hand out, palm hovering in the air like she's resting it on a window. Like there's surface tension there. And I swear, and listen, I know how this sounds, but I swear the air in front of her arm is different. Like heat shimmer, kind of wavy, distorted, but only in one vertical strip, like from the ground up to about her shoulder. I say, is that the fence? Even though I know it's not the fence, but I need it to be the fence, because if it's not the fence, what is it? My friend goes, she's way past the fence. Look, the fence is back there. And my throat goes dry. Because I know toddlers can just stop. Toddlers can get curious. Toddlers touch invisible stuff because their imaginations are like drugged raccoons. I know that. I do. I've said that in comment sections. It's just a kid being weird. That's kind of our whole job, right? Debunk, calm down, laugh it off. Kids are little goblins, haha, moving on. But this did not feel like a kid being weird. It felt like my daughter walked into a boundary, and her body understood it was a boundary before I did. I crouched down next to her and I'm like, soft voice, hey, what is it, baby? What's there? And she doesn't answer. She's too little for that kind of question. But she does something worse. She fully turns her face back toward that empty space and just stares like she's waiting for something to move on the other side of it. Like there's someone there. Like she's making eye contact with something I can't see. And I swear I can feel it now. I swear I can feel pressure. Like walking up to an electric fence, that buzz in your teeth. But there's no sound. Just this humming in my chest that is not mine. I stand up fast because now I'm the one freaking out, and my brain is going, pull her back, I don't care if I look stupid, just take her. So I grab her under her arms and lift her, and as soon as I pick her up she just melts against me and stops staring. Like instantly calm. No tantrum about being moved. No put me down. She just presses her face into my neck like, okay, safe now. Which is not normal for her. She is feral. She bites me to show affection. She does not do calm cuddle on demand. We walk back toward my friend, and that sick pressure in my ribs fades. Just gone, like stepping out of a really loud room and realizing your ears were ringing the whole time. I turn around to look back at the spot. It's just grass. Flat, boring, nothing grass. I tell myself it was nothing. I tell myself I spooked myself. I tell myself I'm tired, I'm overstimulated, I'm always on edge waiting to keep this tiny person alive, and sometimes normal things feel scary. But here's what I can't talk myself out of. I have carried her across creeks. I have pulled leaves out of her mouth. I have grabbed her by the hood when she tried to yeet herself down playground stairs. She is brave to the point of stupidity. I have never seen her refuse to move like that. I have never felt my own body be told no by open air. When we watched the video back later that night, I turned the volume way up, and at the moment she first raised her hand and went still, the audio glitched. Just for a second. Not wind. Not us talking. This little crackle. Almost like a radio picking up a signal. I keep thinking about that. And I keep thinking about the way she looked at me and shook her head like a warning. Like, Mama, don't go through there. Story 6. I was just putting clothes away. That's it. Not summoning demons. Not manifesting alternate timelines. Literally laundry. So I'm in my closet, right? And I pull out this shirt. It's not like a basic tank top or a black tee I have 5 copies of. It's my nice shirt. The one I wear when I want to look like I have my life together, and also maybe crush someone softly with my presence. It's got this neckline I really like, the fabric drapes in a way that makes me look more expensive than I am, and it's not something I wear to run errands. It's like a dinner, cocktails, lighting is low, I might take a picture tonight shirt. That one. So I grab it off the hanger like, oh yeah, I forgot about you. And then a few hangers down, I see it again. Same shirt. Same color. Same exact stitching. Same fabric, which is not normal t-shirt fabric. It's that very specific, slightly satiny but not shiny material. I pull that one out too because obviously I'm thinking, oh okay, I bought a backup and forgot. I do that with tank tops and bras sometimes. You forget what you bought. It happens. Except I don't do that with this shirt. I don't buy multiples of something I only wear once in a while. That makes no sense financially, and also closet space-wise. I'm not out here stocking an archive. Plus, I remember buying it. I remember the exact mall trip. I remember feeling guilty at the register, and then being like, no, I deserve to look hot for once. And I remember promising myself I'd get at least 3 wears out of it to justify the price. That was a whole internal conversation with myself. I remember that. I do not remember buying 2. At this point I'm kind of laughing because I always clown other people's glitch in the Matrix stories, but I'm like, okay, maybe I'm just forgetful, this is fine. So I hold them up next to each other and I'm like, which one is newer? And this is when I feel wrong. Because they're not one older, one newer. They are the same age. The fabric wear is the same. The little soft pilling near the hem. Same pattern. The way I cut the inside tag, because it was scratchy on my neck. Same cut. The exact same imperfect scissor angle, like I snipped fast and kind of jagged. Like I did it once. Because I did it once. You know when you replay a memory in your head, and it's just one memory, and now two identical objects are claiming they both came from it. It's like that. I'm standing there holding two versions of one shirt that should not exist twice. I tell myself, okay, maybe at some point you bought it again for a backup because you loved it so much and you just forgot. Even as I'm saying that in my head, I don't believe me. Because again, this is not one of those everyday pieces you wear to death. If it were a perfect black tank, fine. I own like 8 perfect black tanks. But this is kind of a special shirt. It's not even that comfortable. There is no universe in which I consciously bought two. Now I'm unsettled. So I go through receipts in my brain. The store. The day. Who I was with. I can see it. I can see me in the fitting room doing that thing where you look at yourself from the side and pretend you're not looking at yourself from the side. I can see the mirror, the lighting, the ugly plastic hanger. I can see myself making the face like, okay, yeah, she's cute actually. That's one event. One purchase. One bag. There is not a second memory. And yet, 2 shirts. In my hands. In my closet. That I swear has never had this much stuff in it. Like this is also part of why this freaks me out. I don't have a huge wardrobe. I'm not that girl with a whole separate storage unit of clothes. I wear things. I repeat outfits. I remember what I own. I complain about how I never have clothes like every other person, but I actually don't have that many nice things. So the idea that a duplicate could hide from me in my own closet feels insane. I start inspecting them like some forensic scientist. I'm running my fingers along the seams. I'm checking for any tiny stain or snag that might help me tell them apart. One has a teeny faint makeup smudge near the collar. I'm like, okay, that's the one I wore last time. I check the other collar. Same faint smudge. I don't even know what to do with that. At this point, I'm talking to myself. Out loud. In my closet. I'm like, okay. Haha. Very funny. Universe, cool prank. Whatever. Because I'm trying not to let this turn into something that's actually going to keep me awake at 3 a.m. But then I feel this wave of cold anxiety, because I think the thought that you don't want to think, if something duplicated this shirt, where did it come from? Like, yeah, possible answer, super boring answer, manufacturing error, I accidentally bought 2, my brain is dramatic, blah blah blah. But my stomach doesn't believe that. My stomach is thinking, did I just steal this from another me? And I hate that my brain even goes there, but it does. Because if there's a version of me in some slightly different branch of reality, who went looking for this shirt and couldn't find it, because hers vanished, and now I'm here with 2? And if that can happen with a shirt, what else crosses over? I know that sounds dramatic for a piece of fabric. Believe me, I know. But holding both of them at once felt wrong in a way I can't explain without sounding like a conspiracy freak. It felt like proof. Not proof like aliens are here, not proof like the government is lying, but proof like something about my life is not fully contained inside my life. And listen, here's the part that I don't even like saying, because it takes this from weird to oh. One of the shirts, I don't know how to describe this except to just say it, doesn't smell like my apartment. Same detergent, mostly. But underneath, one of them has that faint warm, kind of sweet smell that's just me. My skin. My perfume. My space. The other one. There's a weird hint of cigarette smoke. I don't smoke. None of my friends smoke inside. I don't let people smoke in my place, ever. Story 7. I am telling you right now, I did not fall asleep. Everyone keeps jumping to that like it's the safe answer. Oh, you just fell asleep super fast, girl, relax. No. Listen to me. No. Here's exactly what happened. It was 9:59 p.m. I know because I checked. I always check. I have this thing, call it a quirk, call it control issues, call it whatever, where I like to go to sleep on even numbers. It calms me. It makes me feel like I shut the day down correctly, like I closed the tab in my brain. I don't like falling asleep at 10:13, or 11:07, or 12:01. That feels wrong. Chaos. I feel twitchy if I do that. So I try to do 10 p.m., 10:30 p.m., 11 p.m., you get the idea. So I'm on the phone with my boyfriend at 9:59, being totally normal. We're not fighting, I'm not sobbing, nothing dramatic. We're just talking and I literally say, okay, I'm gonna let you go because I want to be asleep at exactly 10. He laughs at me for that because he always does, and we hang up. Lights off. Eyes closed. I'm proud of myself for being on schedule. Then, And this is important. Before I actually allow myself to drift, I remember, I didn't set an alarm. And I'm like, okay, you know what, let me just grab my phone, set one now, and then I can do my perfect little asleep at 10 thing and feel smug about it. Because I know if I don't set an alarm, I'll wake up at some absolute goblin hour in the afternoon and hate myself. So I open my eyes, pick my phone back up, and I'm already annoyed because I'm thinking, ugh, I bet it's 10:01 now. And if it's 10:01 I have to stay awake until 10:30, because 10:01 is ugly. 10:01 is illegal. I cannot, with my spirit, fall asleep at 10:01. I will literally stay up scrolling until 10:30, just so I can fall asleep at a good time. That is how serious I am about this. I light up my phone screen. It's 3:30 a.m. Not 10:01. Not 10:15. Not, whoops, I took a micronap. 3:30 in the morning. I'm like, oh, my phone glitched, because obviously. So I check again. Still 3:30. Now I'm irritated. I sit up in bed, because what we're not going to do is panic over a software bug. I grab my iPad off the nightstand. iPad says 3:30 a.m. Okay, cute, maybe they synced wrong. Maybe Wi-Fi did something stupid. So I get out of bed. Still thinking I'm clever, by the way. Still thinking I've caught the error the universe didn't think I'd catch. I go downstairs to the kitchen. Stove clock says 3:31. Now I'm standing barefoot in my own kitchen, staring at my oven like the oven personally did witchcraft to me. Because here's what my brain is trying and failing to accept. I remember every single thought I had at 9:59. My eyes closed. I was not tired. I wasn't doing that head bobbing, I'm gonna pass out thing. I definitely did not feel myself drift off. And in my head, in my body, it felt like I blinked. Like literally, hang up, close eyes, open eyes, grab phone. No dreamy in-between. No warm, floaty, slipping feeling. But time says 5.5 hours passed. And my body agrees, which is maybe the creepiest part. Because suddenly I'm not just about to go to bed. Suddenly I'm wired in the gross way you are at 3:30 a.m. when you've already slept. My mouth is dry like sleep mouth. My hair is pillow messy, not, I just laid down for 10 seconds messy. My brain is foggy in that heavy, slightly swollen way it is after deep sleep. My night is gone, like it got cut out with scissors. Except I didn't experience it. And I don't mean, I don't remember my dreams. I mean, I didn't experience it at all. Like someone dragged an editing tool across a timeline and deleted the part from 10 p.m. to 3:30 a.m. and then hit play again. Here's what's even weirder, and this is the part nobody can explain to me without sounding like they're lying. My thought did not change. This is what I mean. You know how usually when you wake up your brain like reloads? You're not thinking, oh, I need to send that email the exact millisecond you open your eyes. You're thinking, ugh, and where am I? And why do my knees hurt? And then eventually you remember email. Right? Not this time. I went from okay, I should set an alarm so I don't oversleep past something stupid like noon, to okay, I should set an alarm so I don't oversleep past something stupid like noon, with nothing between them but 5.5 missing hours. It was the same sentence replaying, the same urgency, the same mental voice like there was no cut. That, more than the clocks, is what made me feel sick. Because that felt wrong. That felt not human wrong. I've been under anesthesia before, wisdom teeth. You're counting backwards, and then suddenly you're awake and crying, and everyone is like, you're done. And you're like, no, I'm not, no, you're lying, I didn't even start yet. It felt like that, except I wasn't in a surgical chair. I was in my own bed, with my own blankets. My boyfriend had literally just said goodnight 30 seconds ago, as far as I could perceive. So now we're in horror movie brain. First thought, did I die? I'm not being dramatic. That was actually my first thought. Did I literally die at 10 p.m. and then wake back up at 3:30 a.m. and just casually re-enter? Second thought, did I lose consciousness in some medical emergency and just come back? Third thought, which I hate admitting because it sounds ridiculous but also feels the most true. Did I skip? Like timeline skip, time slip, glitch, jump cut, however you want to phrase it. Because here's my problem with the you fell asleep super fast and didn't notice theory that everyone loves. I don't fall asleep like that. I am not that girl. If anything, I'm the opposite. I take forever. I toss. I scroll. I overthink an interaction from 2017. The idea that I went from I'm awake and actively thinking to REM sleep so deep that I lost all perception in under, 15 seconds? That's already unlikely. Now add, I woke up with the exact same sentence in my head, zero mental transition, zero awareness of having slept, and no groggy, where am I reboot. That's not sleep. That's missing. And yeah, fine, maybe it could still be some boring neuro thing. Microsleep, narcolepsy, whatever. I'm open to being wrong. Truly. If some neurologist wants to jump in and tell me, yes, this is XYZ documented phenomenon, cool. I would actually love that. Please. Give me paperwork. I would sleep better. Ha. Sleep. Cute. But I can't shake how wrong it felt, and I can't shake how clean the cut was. It was like someone hit fast forward on my life without telling me. And the part that honestly scares me the most? If time can just skip like that, and I don't even notice until after. How many times has it already happened?